hit record as well, and then we'll officially begin at least the Zoom session.
It looks like it's recording.
All right, it is. So hello, museum families, and welcome to our 4th RBCM at Home Kids, a play date through screens across British Columbia and the world. The previous sessions are recorded and you could find them on our Royal BC Museum YouTube page. So my name is Chris O'Connor and I'm a learning program developer at the Royal BC Museum. The museum and my home is on the territory of the Lekwungen speaking people, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations, also known as Victoria, and on Vancouver Island. So since we're on an island, we're surrounded by water here, which means that we are surrounded by fish. And fish is what we're going to focus on today. Now, today is not just any day, today is Earth Day. And we celebrate the beautiful planet that we live on, and we also try to do our best to make it as healthy as we possibly can. So many kids from around the world are working to make the Earth as healthy as it can be. So thank you for what you do. All of our small acts of kindness to the Earth really help. And inspire lots of people as well. So last week we were meeting with Heidi Gardner, who's our collection manager of invertebrates. So I'm just pulling up, this is our Royal BC Museum at Home kids. And last week, participants, kids from all over, sent me these beautiful tide pools that they created last week. So you'll see that there's 5 different species that were highlighted. So there's a limpet, which is right there and there. It looks like a little hat. There was sea urchins, there was a sea anemone, there are mussels, and at the end, we looked a little bit at a crab too. So, and then we created these tide pools and showed how the different animals coexist within their home, which is a tide pool at times. So that was last week. And after this week, we'll also be making art this week. So definitely feel free to share. It's such a great part of my week to be able to see all the art that comes in from families that are working at home. So you can send me an email there. You could write that down, coconnor@royalbcmuseum.bc.ca, or you could share through social media with Royal BC Museum, at Royal BC Museum, or hashtag RBCM Kids. After today's session, definitely keep exploring. We have our learning portal. You could Google learning portal on Royal BC Museum. There's actually a pathway on there about fish and illustrations called Something Fishy. So definitely check that out as well. And then just a little heads up, next week, we'll be meeting with our colleague, Megan Anderson, who's an exhibit artist at the Royal BC Museum. And we're gonna be making mini dioramas, so little environments like we have at the museum, like the forest and the seashore diorama at the museum. So we're going to be making that. So have lots of different kind of other material like clay and cardboard and glue and magazines. So I put that up all on the website so you can see what the different things that you might want to have for that session. But today the session is just paper and pencils. So in this format, you can see your host, that's me, Chris, and our special guest each week. And today that's Gavin, who we'll meet in a second. So we can't see you, but we can hear from you if you use the comments section if you're watching on Facebook Live, though I'm not sure if we're having trouble with Facebook Live right now. So please ask questions as we go along, and a heads up, we'll be drawing again. So make sure you have at least a few pieces of paper and something to draw with, preferably something with color. So colored pencils, markers, crayons. And we'll be recording this session. So if you need to take a break or you need more time, you can always go back and play it again later. The most important thing is to be good to yourself and to others during this time. So do the things at your own pace. So let's meet our special guest today. So today's special guest is Dr. Gavin Hanke. Gavin is the Royal BC Museum curator of vertebrate zoology. Last week, we were looking at animals that do not have spines. Gavin studies animals that do have spines. So cougars and beavers and bears, oh my. But he especially loves studying fish and also lizards and also orchids. But today we'll be looking at fish. So hello, Gavin, and welcome.
Howdy. Yeah, it's good to be here. Should be loads of fun.
It's good to have you here. Last week I asked Heidi if she could be any animal for a day and replace bodies with another animal. What animal would you be?
Probably a mako shark.
A mako shark?
Yeah,
why is that?
They're beautiful, they're fast, they're streamlined. It would just be so much fun to swim that fast.
Nice. All right. Today we're going to be drawing fish, so take it away.
Okay, so do I share screen now, or what?
Yeah, you can do that. And just a heads up for everyone at home, Gavin's just going to give a little sort of description of his process. So we won't be you're welcome to start drawing, but we won't be doing the step-by-step part of the process yet. So.
Well, okay, so my question is, if I show stuff now on my, like some pictures, some paper, it'll show up, because right now for you, you're tiny on my, or I'm tiny on my screen, you're big.
Yeah,
so
you just share your screen and then we'll see that.
Okay. Actually, I'm trying to think, hang on, cancel. So basically, like if I hold up a picture right now, is the audience going to see the picture as the larger image on the screen? Because right now,
yep,
you're big on my screen.
Yep, no, but yeah, they'll see you as you're talking. They'll see you.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. I'm just going to show several different ways to draw today, and they're things that I use in my research, but also for fun. So I'm hoping this will show up nicely. I'm running two monitors at the same time, so if I look off to the side, it's because I'm making sure that things are centered in the picture. But
I'll let you know if it's not. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So some of the drawings, like you could do a simple line drawing, and this is a drawing of a fish that I named many years ago. I think it was 2001. It's basically a type of shark, we think, but it's 400 million years old, so we really don't know what it is. But it's just a straight line drawing, head to tail, and that's perfectly good as a drawing. There's no reason you can't do something like that. Some of the other drawings that I do are like this. And if you look really close, it's just a bunch of dots. But if you back out, that basically is the mouth of a lamprey. And I'll show you another drawing of a lamprey. So this drawing, basically, it's again just dots. And because the fish didn't fit on the piece of paper, I've actually put in little arrows here, and it's tough to do that, and there. And then I rebuilt the fish in Photoshop on my computer. And the final drawings end up looking like this. And these drawings you can actually see on the museum's learning portal. And the fun thing is if you draw it really big and then shrink it down on a computer, the drawing looks really nice and detailed. So it's fun to do that. But the type of drawing I'm going to detail today is a little more like this. That's a pumpkin seed sunfish. It's a fish that was introduced to BC. And this is done with, this type of drawing is just done with pencil crayons. You could use oil pastels, you could use felt markers, you can even just use pencils and just do it in shades of gray. Now, so what I'll do is I'll flip to some slides that I'll show, and then we'll get actually onto the fish that I'm gonna detail today, which is this one. It's a goldfish, a type of goldfish. It's one of my favorite fish. even though, yes, I did say mako shark is my favorite. But, so I'm gonna share my screen, and then I'm gonna show some slides, and then I'll pop back out, and then we'll get coloring, because I've got a drawing ready to color here. Share. So I hope that's worked. And then we're gonna go slideshow. So yeah, happy Earth Day. So what I'm gonna work with today is pencil crayons. As a kid, I had crayons just like anyone else. I never was big into felt markers, but pencil crayons for me were an easy way to get lots of color. And today you can go to an art store and get so many different colors. It's amazing. So this is my basic tray of pencil crayons. The ones that are held together by elastics are actually, those are specific colors for a fish I'm working on right now. So I don't want to mix them up with the rest, because I need to know exactly what color I want. This is my teacher, Mr. Iwaka, and back in grade 8, and that's me when I was in grade 8 back in 1982, that's a long time ago, this teacher turned to me and he said, draw what you want, not what the class has to do. So he let me do whatever I want instead of anything specific. And that year I actually won an award for the artwork I did, which was an iguana that I did with oil pastels. So that was kind of fun. This is one of the fish. Now, Chris made the joke about the surgeon or the sturgeon fish. This is a fish called a tench, and it's known as the doctor of fishes. And it's one of my favorites as well. My uncles in England had them in their garden ponds. But this is, again, like my drawings of the lamprey, this is just done with lines and dots. So drawings don't have to be crazy perfect to be accurate. And you don't have to worry about what your drawing comes out like. There's many different styles to explore. Here's a tench in real life. Now look at all the different colors. There's grays, there's golds, the eye is red. There's all kinds of colors that you can bring into a drawing like this. And now, oh, there we go. But the other thing to look at, here's a fish in the water. You don't see any shine on it because it's in the water. When you pull a fish out of the water, you can see the sky reflected on it. So depending on what you're trying to draw, you really need to look at if you've got any pictures to draw from, your references, you really need to be careful what pictures you choose, because the color will totally depend on the photograph and where the photograph was taken, what time of day the photograph was taken. So what I do is I get a whole bunch of pictures from multiple places and I print them off, and then I use those to base my colors on when I'm doing my drawings. The fun part about that is even your different computer screens will give you slightly different colors. The calibration of your screen can change. Like I've got 2 monitors running here, and they both show totally different colors depending on, even if I move a picture over, you'll get a different color.
Gavin, I'm just going to jump in. Gavin, yeah. I'm just going to jump in for a second. Just to clarify, so in past weeks, we've started drawing right away, but yep. because the kind of drawing that you do is really detailed, we're just spending some time just to hear a little bit about your process of drawing. So if people want to start drawing, they can, but we're not going through the step-by-step drawing process yet. No. So just clarifying to everyone. Okay, continue.
Oh, thanks. So the one thing my grade 8 teacher taught me was to draw what is there, not what you think is there. And that was the funny thing. And that for me was, and I'm going to use this picture because I couldn't resist, it was an eye-opener that if you draw an eye, a lot of people will draw an eye based on what they think it looks like. And if you actually look carefully at the picture, it's not exactly like this eye on the screen is not round. It's actually sort of pinched on 2 sides. And even the pupil, the dark dot in the middle of the eye, it's not round. It's almost a slight egg shape. And so this was one of those things that it made me realize and really change the way I did my drawings. And if you look at that eye that's on the screen, look at the different colors that are in there. There's purples, there's greens, there's gold, and then the eye itself is a whole cascade of golds and oranges, there's grays, there's even purple in the eye. So this was the kind of thing, like when I'm doing my pencil crayon drawings, I go absolutely crazy trying to figure out exactly what color I've got. I mean, you don't have to go for perfection, but it sure is fun to try get there. Even the fish's scales, look at the detail. There's little squiggly lines in the scales. There's greens and golds, and then there are these dark peppered spots. So even drawing a fish's scale is a crazy detailed project. This is a fish that I'm working on right now, and I have to admit, I don't like my drawing of it. This is a photograph. The internet just to actually look at the color of it. Now, the place I got it from is down here, the link to it. And I've even taken a piece of pencil and drawn the outline of one of the fins so that I can make sure I get the shape of it right. Now I'll flip to the next slide and it shows my drawing.
So Gavin, just so you know, you're not sharing your screen anymore.
Oh. How's that?
Yep.
Okay, where did we cut off?
So it was about there, so yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so this is the warmouth, but this is a drawing I did. And down at the bottom here, you can see 6 little lines, and each line is 1 hour of work. So far, this is 6 hours of drawing. And I've decided I'm not going to finish it because I got the scales wrong. And for the drawings that I like to do, for me, it makes sense to get the scales right. But you can see in this drawing, I've got the outlines of the fins just done in pencil. And then I erase that mostly and then color in with pencil crayon. So it's kind of cheating, and I'll show you how I do this. It's almost like I'm tracing the fish, but it sure does give a pretty convincing drawing at the end. Now, here's our goldfish. This is a Shubunkin. My very first pet fish was a Shubunkin. That's why I like them so much. I mean, nostalgia is a huge thing. We all have our own favorite foods and things that we like. And for me, the Shubunkin Goldfish is one of my favorites. They're gorgeous. There's blues, there's oranges, there's some silvery spots on their scales. So this one I got from Koi to the World. It's a website. And this is one of the nicest photos I've ever seen of a Shubunkin, even though it's not perfectly focused. But it shows all kinds of really cool things to think about in a drawing. Notice the background is black. Well, the fins are actually clear. So what you see between, these are the fin rays, the actual support for the fins. And between there, it's actually dark, not because the fin's dark, but because the background is dark. But if you go over here, this dark spot is real. That's on the fish. And if you look at the fins really carefully, you'll start to see yellows in there. There's all kinds of different colors that you can incorporate in your drawing. Even the head, it's a mix of sort of skin tones, gold, yellow, almost a peachy color in places, and then the bright orange. So there's lots to look at when you're drawing. So this is how I did it. And this is, I mean, you might call it cheating, I don't know. But this is my dining room window, and you can see my neighbor's trampoline down at the bottom. And the drawing, my daughter draws on our dining room window with her markers, so you can see that. But I basically took the picture of the fish and I taped it up on the window. So anyone can do this at home. It's dead easy to do. And then I put another piece of paper over top and I traced it. And you might say, oh, he's tracing, it's cheating. Well, yes and no, but you sure get the shape of the fish. And so anybody can get the basic shape of a fish. Even if you're not the world's best artist, you can still get a nice looking drawing just by doing a quick trace like that against your window. And I was thinking originally doing a video like this, but I thought I wasn't sure how I was going to angle my computer to get that for you guys. But it sure turned out pretty well. Now here's the actual drawing. And so I've got that here with me. And you don't have to do every scale because you can't see every scale on the fish in the photograph anyway. But there's the outline of the fish. And now there's something that's important here, is if you look at a fish or an egg or anything, there's never really a dark outline around the outside of it. And that's something my art teacher always pointed out to me. He said, don't leave that line in there because it's not there in real life.
Gavin, I'm just gonna jump in for a second.
Yeah.
Just because I think this, especially, no, can you go back a slide? So if, while you're, let's have a little conversation right now. So while people are seeing this outline, that kids can start to try to approximate this shape. Does that sound like a good thing to do right now? Just as
sure,
you
can draw anything.
But this is an example of a fish you can draw. So we're going to be talking about colors. So if you can look at this shape of fish and just try to just freehand, just with your paper. So you could start to draw right now. Try to get the general shape. As Gavin said, he used the window to trace, and you could do that later. But right now you could look at this fish and just see the general shape, and try to get that down on your piece of paper in whatever it looks like. It doesn't need to be as finely detailed as this. It's just however you can sort of get this general shape down. And then Gavin, so we had a question about some people are really impressed by your drawing skills, and they're wondering when did you start drawing? When were you most like, when were you first sort of inspired to start drawing?
My dad used to draw for me when I was a little boy. Every Christmas, he'd make cartoon characters of us for our Christmas stockings. And on mine, he'd always draw airplanes. And so I would try to practice matching his drawings. And that goes back to probably maybe grade 5 or grade 6. And then I started to pick up books on how to do just basic drawings. Victoria's drawing of her dinosaur, the way she drew the shapes and then connected the shapes. Well, then that gave you a nice dinosaur drawing. I did the same sort of technique for drawing airplanes. And that's really how I started. Mm-hmm.
And then once you started working at the museum, then it was, when you were a kid, were you doing animal illustrations as well?
Yeah, this is embarrassing. My mom still has most of my drawings.
Oh, nice.
She's got a couple of lizards that I drew and some hawks. I've got a falcon, a peregrine falcon that I did, mostly with oil pastels because they're nice and easy to smear and blend colors. So yeah, I've been drawing for a long time. I used drawings, the stipple drawings, which are just basically little dots, during my research for my PhD. And one of my drawings was, basically when it was spread out, it took up my entire living room floor. It was huge. And I detailed everything, every scale and bump and fold on this fossil fish, and then scaled it down in Photoshop. And to be honest, you could fit the drawing on a t-shirt. It's now so small, but it's crazy detailed. So I did drawings for research early on. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So that was giving some time just for people to draw this, just for kids to draw this general shape of this goldfish. Where would you find this kind of goldfish?
Any sort of garden center, if they have supplies for ponds, garden ponds. But
out in the wild?
No, this type of goldfish is only in captivity. They're not in the wild.
Okay.
It's a specific color variety. Having said that, there are goldfish loose in Canada, in all over the place. People have dumped their pets, which technically is illegal. So we do have goldfish loose in BC. I live near Hillside Mall in Victoria, and the Cedar Hill Golf Course actually has a few goldfish in some of their water traps. But there are goldfish on the lower mainland. We've got goldfish in Alberta. They're in Manitoba. They're probably in Ontario as well.
Great, so we can continue on. We have about 5 to 10 minutes, Gavin. So.
Okay, well, I'll shoot through. This was a test I did for my fish. Is the screen still sharing?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, okay. This, please, Anna, my daughter making noise. This is a test drawing I did just to get an idea of what colors I wanted. So instead of doing the whole fish, I just did a bit of it. So, but anyway, so I will escape from this, close down that, and I'm going to move my camera down. I hope this works nicely.
So if you could stop sharing, if you could stop sharing your screen.
Okay, so I don't need to share?
No, yeah, yeah, there you go.
Okay. So does that show up cleanly?
If you can get a little closer.
That's about it's taped down, so that's as close as I can get right now.
Okay.
So that's actually, okay, Anna, please. Thank you. Sorry. My daughter's very excited with this technology. So what I've done here is I taped the drawing down facing you guys. So it's right side up for you guys. It's upside down for me. And I've got a stack of colors that, colored pencil crayons. And so really what I would just start doing now, you can see I've started, is just very lightly color in. And the way I do it, I don't, some people may go pretty dark from right from the beginning. I layer in the colors, and you can do this with felts, and you can do it with pencil crayons. It's loads of fun. It's, even for the eye pretty much you can go pretty dark right from the beginning, because it's really, I don't see on the drawing that I got, which, whoops, pencil crayon nearly rolled away, of the actual fish. There's no reflection on the eye, so it's all pretty dark. So you can do that. It's pretty easy. The other thing I've done with this drawing is I erased a lot of the pencil. I put it down initially, and I erased it so that it's not too obvious. Now, where's some black on this guy? On the just below the eye, there's a dark spot, and I'm not pushing hard with the pencil crayons. Just doing a little bit, just nice and light. What was Bob Ross? What would he say? It's a happy spot, You don't have to go crazy hard right away with the pencil crayon. You can fill that in later once you've got the shape. Nice and light. There's a spot. There's a spot over here on the gill. Down below, even if it's not in the exact right spot, most people aren't going to measure. That's awfully good. So yeah, this basically all I would be doing now is layering in colors, very lightly touching. One thing to remember is when you're doing this with a pencil crayon, the surface underneath will leave a mark. So if you've got it on a table that's got some wood grain to it, it will actually leave a mark in the drawing, like you do when you're doing a rubbing of a leaf. So you got to be careful with that.
Or it seems like you could also play with that and work with that, because it will create some texture to the drawing.
Oh, you totally could. You could make a really neat drawing. And now, I don't know if this will show up on the camera, but right here, there's actually a light gray line, and that's where the edge of the gill is. And so to do that, I just don't put as much black in the area. Something like that. And then I've got all kinds of light grays and blue grays that can go in just to fill in that spot. Let's get some color in here. This part of the cheek is nice and orange. There's a dark line through that, which I'll do with another red. Let's see if I can get that angle right. But this is the kind of stuff I do. I've started on a book on fishes of BC. And so for the pictures I can't get, I'll probably end up doing the drawings myself. So it's loads of fun to be able to do this. And I'm not sure if I've even got the right red there. What do you guys think? It's It's not quite the same red that I'm seeing on the actual picture itself.
Can you show the picture again?
Here's the, yeah, it's a much darker red, I think, up on the head. So yeah, I don't even think I've got the right color here, but what I can do is layer it in later and darken it. Yeah, let's work. There's some red over here, right up to the top of the head. You guys hear the pencil crayon? I can. It sounds funny. And that's basically what I do.
Gavin just cut out for a second. Oh, you're back.
Sorry?
You just cut out for a second, but you're back.
Oh, okay. I'm on Wi-Fi, so maybe it was a bit of a Wi-Fi glitch. Now, here's something. I'll do something.
So sorry, I'm just gonna interrupt for a second. The question was, can you show the tail again?
Oh. So the tail of the fish, yeah, it's basically like almost a white, but it's actually a pale gray with black spots in it. And you can put the spots anywhere because each fish is different. So even if you don't have to match a fish like this exactly. So you can be totally creative and put spots, red spots, blue spots, black spots, wherever you'd like. It's really fun trying to draw this upside down, actually. For me, it's upside down.
So Gavin, we just have a couple more minutes.
Yep.
Maybe just for and I'll show my screen again. So just so everyone, it's about lots of different ways of drawing and doing scientific illustration. And however your fish comes out and came out is great. It's all about the different ways to show fish. And actually, my kid did one earlier today for the sign for today, and that was beautiful. Just looking at the image online, and there's lots of different ways to do it. And thank you so much, Gavin, for showing some of the ways to do that and to look closely. And it seems like a big part of being a curator of a museum is looking really closely at specimens in order to understand what those animals are and how they fit into the larger ecosystem and our larger understanding of the natural world. So that drawing, the act of close looking is really important for that process.
Yeah. Well, careful observation works for every part of life. Like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a carpenter or even when you're driving a car, you want to watch where you're going, right? So careful observation helps everyone.
So if anyone, in the last 2 minutes, anyone has any final questions about drawing or about fish while we have Gavin here, just a reminder, please send the fish, and you might want to keep working on it afterwards. And then it maybe later today you send it to me, and then I'll share it next week. So we'll just finish with the last couple of questions. So is there a specific color for coloring a goldfish? What is the range of different colors you might want to use?
So can you see me now?
Yep.
Okay. There really isn't any set range of colors. Now I'm going to hold up the colors I have. Let me lay these out. And I know everyone's screen's going to be a little different, but it's all kinds of oranges and yellows and grays. And if you picked a different fish, you'll need different colors. Some of the most colorful fish in the world are killifish, and they're tiny little fish from Africa. Well, it's one group of them is from Africa, and they're electric blue and bright scarlet and orange and bright yellow. So the colors are completely open. You can pick and choose what you want, and there's no harm in doing a completely stylized fish as well. You can make whatever color you'd like, and that's part of the artistic process and fun, is that you don't have to do something scientifically accurate like I might want to do. You can do something just for the fun of it, something whimsical.
And we had Lucy share saying that she did a yellow as a base, and orange, and a little bit of blue. So yeah, there's lots of different sort of ways of doing it. So thank you so much, Gavin. Do you want to take your fish off the table and just show it to us one last time?
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to pull the tape off.
Without ripping it?
That's more without damaging my computer.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, it's amazing how a little bit of color and a little bit of detail starts to make the animal pop off the page and make it seem like it might swim away.
And this is just the head of it. It's not the whole fish.
Yeah.
I was doing a tester just of the head at that point. And to do the whole fish or do the whole head, I might spend 2 hours on it. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we'll let you get back to drawing and we'll let all the families get back to their drawing. But thank you so much, Gavin. Thank you to the families, museum families, for joining in today. If you have like I said, if you are coming back next Wednesday, we're going to be doing mini dioramas with Megan Anderson, an exhibit artist from the museum. So that should be really fun. And what Gavin did today was all on paper. This will be more three-dimensional and will take up space. If you have adults or older kids in your life, let them know that on Tuesday and Thursday we do our RBCM at Home series. Gavin will be the guest tomorrow, talking about orcas, right?
No, gray whale.
Oh, gray whales. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then also today at 2 o'clock, we're going to be doing our RBCM at outside. So we're doing a live stream outside in the native plant garden, which it is a little rainy today, so we'll definitely need to have some umbrellas. But so happy Earth Day to everyone. Thanks for joining RBCM at Home Kids. Oh, I didn't show this earlier as well. It's our official sign. And have a wonderful day. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.